And finally, while the number of price reductions that happens on the homes on Utah's market each week continues to trend up, we have to understand a couple of things. Hello, my name is Christopher McGee. I'm the owner of Halcyon Real Estate, affiliated with the Keller Williams Market Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. Today is the 14th of July, 2025. This is the numbers, the nuance. This is where you come weekly in order to know precisely what's going on in Utah's housing market, with data coming right off the MLS on a weekly basis. I update this every Monday. If that's data you're interested in, this is the place to be. You won't find a better spot. As always, I'll give you my nuanced opinion of what the market looks like. I'll just zoom back from the data and give you words instead of just numbers, and then I'll switch over to showing you the numbers plotted across the last several weeks, across the beginning of the last quarter to present, so that you know, you can see for yourself and derive the data as you see fit. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so things moving basically as I would expect. Nothing shocking happened this last week in the data. I will point out just a few things. It's always good to see our inventory continuing to go up as it did this last week. It's just trending up and up and up, and that's good. That's a good place for our market to be. We need our inventory high. I will also point out that average list price looks like it's setting itself up to possibly trend up, slightly up. So at the beginning of this year through quarter one, Utah average home prices trended very moderately down. And then as you'll see in the last video that I published that summarized the second quarter of this year, it stayed pretty level, pretty stagnant. Went up and down a little bit, but across the second quarter, didn't trend up or down so much. Across the last few weeks, it's gone up. And so that means our graph for average list price in Utah looks like it's trending very slightly up, but it's too soon to tell, frankly, if that's gonna continue through the third quarter. But it will take another 2 or 3 weeks of data showing that average list price has come down at this point to level that data set back out. Demand, whether you measure it by how many homes are currently under contract or how many homes are sold each week, continues to look really level. It's a pretty variable data set, that one, but when you look at the chart, you'll see it's been averaging right around 600 for the last since the beginning of the second quarter. And finally, while the number of price reductions that happens on the homes on Utah's market each week continues to trend up, we have to understand a couple of things. Obviously, those price reductions aren't big chunks of money down, taken out of the asking price from the seller, because average home prices aren't trending down, right? So there's an ever increasing amount of price reductions that are happening. Part of that is simply because our inventory continues to come up. So if you've only got 5,000 homes on the market and last week there were 1,000 price reductions, okay. And if you've got 13,500 homes on the market and you've got 1,600 price reductions the previous week, then that's largely a reflection of just how many homes are on the market, and they're on a little longer than the sellers want them to, and so there's a price reduction, but it's not a massive price reduction. We are not seeing a waterfall dive in average home prices at all. So that's one of those sticking points. A lot of people will take one set of data and they'll make up a whole story around that one set of data, but you've got to pit the data of how many price reductions are happening and the data of how long things are staying on market, and you have to level it with the fact that average home prices just aren't coming down as a trend, and that is looking, why is that? It's because interest rates are not so high and demand is obviously not so low. Clearly, we still have enough buyers in our market buying homes at a rate fast enough that sellers see no reason to drop their asking prices by an overwhelming amount at all. We're still seeing homes sell on average 98-99% of their asking price. So let's look at the numbers. Okay, here's where things are in the Utah housing market as of the 14th of July, 2025. Our current inventory stands at 13,463. That is up from the previous week, continuing to trend up. Last week's average days on market was 56. Again, a one-day difference down from the previous week, continuing to hover in the mid-50s. The prior week's average list price came to $767,031. That is up a jump from the previous week, looking to be at the beginning of a slight trend up, like we said. We'll see if the third quarter brings that uptrend on Utah home prices equal to the downtrend of the first quarter of this year. Now, last week's average sold price, different from list price, came to $752,192. And so the difference between average list and average sold price last week came again in the buyer's favor to the tune of $14,839. Last week, the number of homes sold came to 616, down a touch from the previous week. And while we've seen some variability on this data point week to week. We've clearly been averaging around 600 homes sold per week. The number of homes we have under contract in Utah right now comes to 5,279, up from the last week. This data set looks pretty level. Last week, the number of price reductions we saw came to 1,695, up from the previous week, trending strongly up as you can see. Last week, the number of listings that were either canceled, expired, or withdrawn from the MLS came to 438. That's down from the previous week. This is trending up with a clear pattern. And finally, interest rates stand at about 6.83% for a 30-year fixed rate conventional loan. That's up a touch from the prior week, trending obviously super steady. And that is it for this week, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about the way I presented the information or where I get it, feel free to hit me in the comments. I'm going to be happy to respond as always. If you or anybody you know is thinking to move here in Utah in the coming months, hope you're comfortable reaching out to me. I'm going to be happy to work with you or whoever it is that you're referring to me. And finally, as always, if this is the kind of information that you're interested in, hit that subscribe button and keep up on it with me from week to week. Thanks for watching this week, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.